Hey guys, welcome to the channel where it's all about racing. I'm Mark, and today we're going to take a look at an Ally Cadillac DPI number 48, that of Ally Cadillac Racing, featuring NASCAR star Jimmie Johnson. Now, say what you will about Jimmie Johnson, but to be honest with you, the man was a 7-time champion in NASCAR. Won, I don't know how many races. Unfortunately, by the time he joined the IMSA ranks in 2021, I think his better years were far beyond him. He also tried a career in IndyCar that was spectacularly unsuccessful. I watched him race at the Music City Grand Prix in Nashville just a couple years ago. Anyhow, that being said, he was a platinum driver and was lined up with a stellar lineup in this car, which we'll talk about in just a few moments. Unfortunately, he was always the weak link on the team. Now, the autograph card that you saw in back was the only one I have of 15 attempts to try to get his signature, because the line would always be a mile long, full of, and I hate saying this, but I call them NASCAR whores, because they would show up at IMSA races and they would bring bucket loads of NASCAR shit for him to sign because they could never get his signature when he was a NASCAR driver. It's one of the things I really like about IMSA is you can get up close to the cars, the drivers, you can meet them. You never had that opportunity in NASCAR. I must have met Jimmie Johnson at least 12 times. Half the time I'd show up, they were out of signature cards because all the NASCAR hordes had taken all of them, or, he was gone because he had signed so much crap he had to get back to racing, which is what he's paid to do, not sign autographs. Anyhow, that being said, let's talk about this car and this team. Now, the team Action Express was founded in 2010 by NASCAR owner Jim France. Bob Johnson was the team principal, Gary Nelson the team manager, and the team is based out of Denver, not Colorado, but Denver, North Carolina, here on the East Coast, right down the street from me. Now, in 2021, 7-time NASCAR champion Jimmie Johnson joined the team in a brand new entry, the number 48 Ally Cadillac Racing, which you are looking at right here, right now. Now, this is a 143 scale Spark resin model. What a shocker there. Comes on this wooden limited edition base, has acrylic jewel cover, and a USA themed box. Since this was the car's debut at Daytona in 21-21, it has this US themed box, as Spark traditionally does for such cars. Now, the Cadillac DPI was a phenomenal car. It featured a Dallara chassis. The engine was an ECR designed Cadillac LT1 6.2 liter naturally aspirated V8. Sounded frickin' phenomenal. Power output was approximately 600 horsepower and weight just 2,050 pounds. As I'd mentioned, the car would debut at the 24 Hours of Daytona, and the team would finish a very respectable second. Now, the number 48 driver lineup for the 2021 24 Hours of Daytona were, as we have talked about extensively, Jimmie Johnson from the USA, FIA Platinum driver, 7-time NASCAR champion. He was saddled with Kamui Kobayashi from Japan, another FIA Platinum driver, and a 2021 24 Hour of Le Mans winner, and the current team principal of Toyota Gazoo Racing in Europe. Also Simon Pagenaud for France, also F&I Platinum, and a 2016 IndyCar champion, and 2019 Indianapolis 500 winner. And finally, Mike Rocky Rockenfeller from Germany, another FIA Platinum driver, winner of the 2010 24 Hours Le Mans, and former Audi Works driver. Now, folks, as I'd mentioned, just talking about this car itself, this is a 143 scale Spark model, which means it's just fucking spectacular. Plain and simple. It's a great car. I mean, all of the recent Spark cars I think are just absolutely phenomenal. I cannot flaw them or find any flaws in them for hardly any reason. I particularly love these Cadillacs that are part of the limited edition series, because they only make about 300 of these, and this was only 65th out of the 300 made. But as you can expect from every Spark car, details on it are phenomenal. Wheel detail is exceptional. This being an IMSA entry and a prototype, it's always going to have this black number panel. That's typical of every prototype in the IMSA WeatherTech series. You've got the leader number over here just before the rear wheel. That tells you what place the car is running, and it's really cool during pit stops because it also kicks off the time of the pit stop itself. So you can see whether, the pit stop was 34 seconds or anything greater than that, which it shouldn't be. And also you have the DPI sticker on, as you would expect. Ally is all over it. I'm going to show you where it's really cleverly done under the rear wing, which I have to actually turn it up to look at that. Folks, the cabin detail, with prototypes, it's really hard to see anything more than the steering wheel, the seat, and all the the driver padding that you have in it. The numbers of the drivers clearly are above that. And as I had mentioned before, with all these cars, these little tiny latches for the cabin doors are actually separate pieces put on there. They are not painted. They are not riveted out. They are separate individual pieces. God knows how they got them on. I just can't figure it out. You have a really cool looking antenna array on the top of the car. Very, very nicely done. And these are literally plug-in antennas. There's a little panel they slap in there. I've seen them do it at the races. It's really quite interesting. You take a look at the way the car is shaped. I really love the Ally finish on it. The white with the pink and purple is really, really cool looking. Here's a look from the front. You see the U.S. flag on there. Notice that on the on the front splitter and the dive planes, you have a little support strut that you can clearly see there. You see IMSA on the front splitter, Ally on it. Your tow hook is right here. There's also a pitot tube that is right above the number 48, as well as you can see the camera pod there. The fender wells are cut out on the front. You also have, all the Cadillacs have these clever lights on the front of the cockpit. And of course you have the windshield washer there. You got the Cadillac on the top of the windshield banner. You can see tear off sheets on there. They're not as well done as on other cars. Another thing that I absolutely love about Spark models is you always have the names of the drivers on the opposite side of the base. Something cool to have, because even in 1/43 scale, sometimes they can be very hard to read without the use of a camera or a magnifier, as I use, as you can see here, on this side of the car. But this is what it looks like. Ally do it right. Lucas Oil, the typical Cadillac, style graphic that you see on all their cars, the Action Express cars, regardless of who the main sponsor is. Because remember, it's Cadillac that's paying the bill for this puppy. And finally, one of my favorite looks at the car is the rear, mainly because you can see the big, nice exhaust in the back of it. The rear wing on it, which is massive. You see Ally on the rear wing itself. Get it right. You can see this was the middle of the batch produced. This was number 165 out of 300. Now, underneath this, and I'm going to try to lift this up. Hold on just one second. Now, underneath the rear wing, you can see Ally, 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 Ally. Really nicely done. You can also, from this angle, really see the nice carbon fiber detail on the rear panels and the diffuser. A really cool model, guys. Really nicely done. Typical Spark. Well, folks, this was a long one. I did a lot of rambling. I appreciate your listening in if you have listened to the whole thing, even though I know the average YouTube person really only watches about a minute and a half and then they tune out. I get it. Anyhow, thanks for watching. If you're already a subscriber, I thank you. Please give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. And if you're not a subscriber, subscribe. I will see you next time.